So let me just ask you first about the Damascus House. It's been a part of Georgetown County for a little while now at the detention center. Tell us about it.
Well, Damascus House really started here in the church when there's a group of men. Not they knew each other, but we just had several men that were going off to rehab centers. And again, we are the perfect church for those who aren't. We don't have perfect people here. These are some guys who had some issues, and so they went off. They all came back about the same time, and I got together with them and said, "Hey, let's just get together and let's just start meeting." And so we started meeting, and that's when really my interest and my knowledge of what addiction and stuff here in Georgetown County is really based on. So from there, it started with a group of men. I got 4 other leaders in our church, and we started saying, what would it look like if we could have some kind of official place like a rehab center, which we decided to call Damascus House. So we're a Damascus House. We're not associated with any other Damascus House that's out there at all. But we are affiliated with an organization called Dunklin Memorial, which is a place in Okeechobee, Florida, that's been around for 62 years. And so we really love the work they're doing. They're doing phenomenal work with men. And so we're really wanting to model ourselves after them, and they've been very, very generous in giving us information and giving us help. So we actually got 2 of the men from there that had been through the program, been through the leadership training, and they are now working at Georgetown County Detention Center as a way of just starting doing something. They're working with men who are in the detention center as a result of something that went on with their addiction. And so right now they've got their own pod. We call it the God Pod. And the men stay there, the men work there, and the 2 guys that work for Damascus House are there every day helping these guys with their addiction and addiction-related issues. But the dream has always been not just to be in the detention center, but to have a facility someplace, much like Dunklin, where we could have 40, 50 men, something like that, that would be able to join together and go through the full program, which is a 10-month program, very intensive, very highly supervised program, but it's a 10-month program. So that's where all the property stuff, and that's the kind of the next step for us, is to locate a piece of property where we could start or where we could build and have that kind of program.
Now, when we were talking with Sheriff Carter Weaver the other day, he said it's a great program. He loves what you're doing in the jail. But he said you're limited because the average stay of a person taking your program is about 17 days in the jail.
Yeah.
So, that's not long enough to, do the job. So he's like, one of these places is needed in Georgetown to expand the program. How did you get hooked up with Georgetown Baptist Church?
Well, we were approached by some people that are affiliated with Georgetown Baptist Church, and they're the ones who told us, didn't know that the building, what was going on with the church, that the membership had dwindled, and they're still meeting, but they were looking for something else. And I think that the guy who built it, Bobby Hardwick, he built it as a church where people would be, where they come into relationship with Jesus, where lives would be transformed, as I believe his life had been transformed. And so I think they thought it as being really in a different way, that if we were able to do something there, it would still carry on the same mission and intent that Mr. Hardwick had many years ago.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're going to be before the Planning Commission this Thursday for a zoning change, which has to happen if this center becomes a reality. What do you plan to talk to the panel about?
Well, what we're doing is really due diligence. We've got to do this if there's any hope that we would ever have either any kind of anything that would look like Damascus House that we're wanting. Obviously, we couldn't have 40 to 50 people in that building, but it may be a startup place that we could begin to do that. But we're just doing due diligence, man. All we've done from day one of this thing is just ask the Lord. The Lord seems to have led us in this direction, so we're certainly taking the time to pray and make sure we're being obedient to Him, but just doing the due diligence because the zoning has to change to do anything. So that's all we're doing. There's no master plan at this point for the facility or what's going to happen. We just know we need to do this. If we can't get the zoning changed, we know we can't do it there.
Now, the residents, of course, have expressed concerns about it being there. A lot of them say it's a halfway house. explain how it's not a halfway house.
Well, I think that's some of the misinformation that tonight at our meeting that we want to get better information out, because someone, I think, Googled Damascus house, and there's several of them in the United States, but not related to us. And that's what that one was a halfway house. We're not a halfway house. Mm-hmm. Halfway houses are typically for people that are just still working on their sobriety. They get together and have a meeting or something, but they're leaving and going out, and that's not usually very highly supervised. Our program is going to be very, very structured. From the moment a guy would get up in the morning to the time he went to bed, he would be busy, and it is very highly they're accountable. It's supervised, so it'd be very, very different than what a halfway house. And a lot of halfway houses are very loosey-goosey, and there's someone that owns the house, and they're making money. Not all of them. Some of them are great, godly things, but some of them, they're making money off the backs of the people that are living there. We don't make a nickel out of this thing. All we want to do, we're just trying to be obedient to the Lord and to what the Lord's called us to do in helping men that struggle with addiction.
And you say you won't make any money, but I thought there was like a $4,500 startup to get in. That's not right?
Well, there would be some fee to get in,
right?
But we're also taking care of 3 meals a day,
okay,
housing, all of that stuff.
So the fee they pay would cover their expenses.
Well, obviously, for 10 months,
yeah, okay,
that $4,200 or whatever the number is not going to cover all that. There's going to be other things that will need to be done to raise money. But as far as the people on the board, we're giving into the program. There's no one making a nickel out of this thing.
Now, you've heard the residents. I mean, some of them say their property values will go down, that there's going to be drug users running through the neighborhood. One thing that came up is a fence around the building. Is that going to happen if you get it?
Well, maybe. I don't know. This is well, right now we're just taking this one chunk at a time, mm-hmm, and we can. But again, I don't think that there's going to be people that are going to be just loosey-goosey running around the neighborhood from there. That's just not going to happen.
But what about the argument that we heard one of them say, and it makes sense, there's a boat landing right behind the church, about half a block, maybe a block. There's been a lot of drug activity over the years reported. Mm-hmm. You're taking people who are trying to get off drugs into an area where there is drug activity. Mm-hmm. Is that counterproductive?
Give me an area of Georgetown County where there's not drugs. Show me an area. Yeah. Wherever we would go, drugs are going to be available. Someone wants to find them, they're going to be able to find them. Mm-hmm. And so, and that goes for every high-level neighborhood, gated neighborhood, to low-level. Everywhere you go, you can find drugs if you want to find them.
Mm-hmm. So what are you going to be saying to the residents tonight to ease their concerns?
Well, again, the main thing is to inform them about who we are. I want them to see us that we're not, I don't know that any of the residents really know who us as the board are. And so just to introduce the board, tell a little bit of the story of Damascus House, how we came to Georgetown Church, and what we're doing. We're just doing our due diligence to see what can happen. That's all we're doing.
Mm-hmm. And for those who ask the question, why here? Why not at the old jail once it's empty, or somewhere else? I mean, why this particular place?
Well, because it presented itself to us. And because it would be given to it, it's to be gifted to us, because the church feels that this is the same mission that Bobby Hardwick had many, many years ago. Now, the jail, not going to be available till 2027 sometime. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's going to, and even if you get the jail, I don't know that facility itself is exactly what the kind of environment that we want to. I mean, that's the kind of place some of these guys may have come from.
Right.
And so there's a lot of work, a lot of expense, and that very well may be what God has for us. All we're doing is trying to be obedient in the next step. That's why we're trying to get this zoning changed.
So you're saying this could be a step towards another step.
Could be.
So are you saying one day you may have more than one facility in Georgetown County, or you'll use this one until you get another one and this one will close down?
Great question.
Okay.
I wish we had some great master plan for this thing over the next 8 to 10 years. Mm-hmm. We know what the program is. We know that the program works. And if we can have a place where we can get the program started, maybe that does mean that we relocate. If it grows, we relocate to another place.
Okay.
So,
anything else?
Lots of options. Again, I just want people to know, all we're trying to do is be obedient to what God called us to do. And what God called us to do is to help transform men's life, not just to be sober. That's baseline. but to really become disciples, fully devoted disciples of Jesus Christ. That's all we're trying to do.